Yes.
Good. Live stream is working, okay?
Yeah.
Good morning, everybody. I hope everybody enjoyed last night. Music dance, I think that some of us are tired, so we wait for the other members of the group to arrive in due time. So, good morning and welcome to the Open Day event organized by COMFORTage project. Let me tell you a few words about the project for those who do not know the project yet. COMFORTage is a very ambitious but also much needed initiative that responds to a pressing need in our society. To support active and healthy aging and to protect the autonomy of the people affected by dementia and frailty. It is a collaboration between 39 partners from multiple fields and countries, and this gives us a unique perspective and allows us to develop relevant and applicable solutions at European level. Our project focuses on the development of the European support framework that includes advanced technologies for monitoring and prediction along with personalized recommendations tailored to the needs of each person. Now, a few words about the Open Day. The Open Day event will give the general public, those who are listening and watching us right now, and to our group as well, to the local communities and media representatives, the opportunity to explore the project's innovative initiatives, and will bring in front of our audience presence both in the conference room and online through live streaming a group of seasoned international and Romanian experts who will share insights on the ambitious theme entitled Empowering Dementia and Frailty Research through Multimodal Data Normalisation and Integration. Contribution to the preparation of the implementation of the European Health Data Space. Our first session is entitled Silver Deal Innovation in Health, and this will bring together the coordinator of the COMFORTage project, Mr. George Manias, here in front of you, Dr. Athos Antoniadis, the co-coordinator, the scientific manager of the COMFORTage project, Mr. Mihai Sfințescu from Abilito Capital, and Mr. Gabriel Mihai Danciu from Siemens. Welcome all of you, and let's declare officially open the second Open Day through our COMFORTage project. Thank you very much. Yorgos, you have the floor.
Good morning, everyone. Luisa, thank you very much, and the whole Ana Aslan Organization for hosting this second Open Day of the COMFORTage project, and of course for the amazing and extraordinary organization of this GA meeting of our project. It is an honor, and we are very glad that we are here in Bucharest, and we have the opportunity to present our project and also collaborate all of us together. Today is the second Open Day of our project, of the COMFORTage project, where we seek to improve the awareness and disseminate further the overall activities of the project, but we have also the honor to have with us esteemed speakers in order to improve and our understanding with regards to the different aspects and challenges that the aging population faces in the European landscape. We will begin this first session where we have key speakers on a silver deal innovation in health by starting diving into the different aspects and the main objectives of the COMFORTage project in order to see how this project seeks to empower research on dementia and frailty, especially through advancing AI-based applications, data compliance, and of course, how we can seek to foster the activities around the establishment and realization of the European Health Data Space, which is a new initiative from the European Commission. So, My name is George Manias, the project coordinator of the COMFORTage project. I have the honor to be the coordinator of this highly ambitious and interesting project. The COMFORTage project is one of the two flagships of the European Commission under the call of the Silver Deal, where we seek to enhance the research around how we can improve the quality of life and the longevity of the aging population of Europe. I'm coming from Greece, University of Piraeus, and please feel free to scan this QR code in order to stay in touch and catch up with regards to different activities. And I'm really happy to answer any of your questions and be in contact with you. So let's start. Let's dive into the COMFORTage project. At first, we will see what this project is about, its multidisciplinary approach, and the main challenges that we seek to tackle in the context of our project. To begin with, the COMFORTage project is a multidisciplinary approach from 39 partners. So, as you can understand, we are a very large consortium ranging from 12 countries across and beyond Europe. We seek to, the main objective, of course, is to improve the quality of life of individuals with dementia and frailty. So we seek to tackle two specific situations, two specific diseases, let's say, of the aging population of Europe, because as you can understand, during the last years, we face different challenges with regards to the elderly people. We seek to develop and evaluate complex challenges of aging, dementia, and frailty, especially by combining clinical expertise, technological innovation, and community engagement. Through this, we will be able to establish a pan-European community, a pan-European framework, in order to tackle the different challenges of the elderly population, and of course to enhance the community-based intervention strategies in order to facilitate the effective lifestyle changes and behavioral changes of the older people. In order to tackle this, as you can see, we are a large consortium, 39 partners with different expertise from different domains in order to provide a holistic approach towards addressing the challenges of the aging population. So, as you can see, we have research centers, large industries, SMEs, healthcare actors and policy makers, social scientists, and of course, legal and ethical partners, and network associations in order to multiply and increase the impact in the overall society in a large-scale approach. In order to do this, we seek, of course, to provide personalized solutions that do not follow one size fits all, rather than enhance the overall personalization of the recommendations on the different solutions in order to see each individual as one person. Because we have to foster personalization in our solutions in order to pose significant challenges in both the societies and the economy, and of course foster the longevity and the quality of life, the primary and community-based health and care services, the enhancement and provision of evidence-based health policies, and of course the empowerment and improved health and digital literacy, because also training education is also one of the main aspects and one of the main solutions that we seek to bring in the context of the project, because we have to raise awareness and we have to empower individuals to take active engagement in the overall coping and management of their own health. But of course, we have to have always in our minds that active and healthy living starts even before we are born, especially through the utilization and leveraging genetics, genomics. We are and integrating this data with data that we can leverage from the databases of the hospitals, from the wearables, from the mobile applications, from Internet of Things, from sensors. We are able to capture all the health determinants of a specific individual in order to improve the personalized solutions that we will provide to them. But of course, in order to tackle all these challenges and provide our holistic and multidisciplinary approach, we have to follow four main pillars. The project follows four main pillars. At first, we seek to introduce the holistic health records and the overall sharing and reuse of data and knowledge. We seek to integrate, as mentioned before, different data deriving from different divergent sources in order to capture all the information. Yes.
George, maybe, but I'm not sure. Yeah, I think. No?
Yes, okay. In order to capture all the health determinants and health information for a specific individual, in order to improve, of course, the reuse and sharing of the data, we seek also to be compliant with the new mandate, with the new initiative of the European Commission, which is the European Health Data Space. The European Health Data Space has been introduced by the European Commission, and until 2028, it will be also in our lives and in our everyday life activities. Of course, in order to improve the solutions, we seek to combine person-centered and evidence-based innovations and we provide to the individuals, always by leveraging emerging technologies from the domains of artificial intelligence, from the domains of big data, in order to target prevention, especially at younger age groups, and integrate all the data that are relevant to the overall personalization of the solutions. And I would like also to raise your attention to this. Silver Deal is the new Green Deal. Tackling the challenges of the aging population in Europe, especially for the next years, is one of the key challenges and one of the main targets of the European Commission. This is why we say this model, let's say, because we have to face on how we can better cope, how we can better treat, how we can better provide personalized solutions to the elderly population of Europe. But of course, in order to do this, we have to have in our minds four main challenges. At first, integration of knowledge and data. In order to leverage pre-existing knowledge that underpins, of course, in large longitudinal studies, in cohorts, in biobanks, in the hospital databases, but of course to integrate also this knowledge with data that can be derived from wearables, from mobile applications. Our world is overwhelmed about data, and everyone right now, also us here in this room, we use several different applications in order to provide our data and track our activities. So we have to integrate all this knowledge, all this data, in order to provide meaningful results towards risk identification, early detection, and of course prevention, because always prevention is better than intervention. Moreover, we seek to provide person-centered and community-based healthcare solutions through the design and deployment of personalized integrated care prevention intervention measures. And always we have to have in our minds to raise awareness and increase the self-management and empower all the stakeholders with regards to improve the health and digital literacy by improving also inclusiveness and decreasing inequalities and limited access to healthcare solutions. And finally, we have to bear in our minds that we have to provide health and social innovation to support the wider adoption and marketed innovation of our solutions through following a comprehensive and concrete health technology assessment and always considering the techno-economic and socio-economic factors. And with this, I would like to conclude my presentation and this introduction to the COMFORTage project. And I would like to give the floor to Dr. Athos Antoniadis, which is the scientific manager of the XT-EHR joint action, in order to enhance our knowledge with regards to primary and secondary use of electronic health records through the European Health Data Space.
Good morning. It's always always difficult to follow George after a speech because he's very interactive and active, and I'm a little bit too old for that. So today I'm going to talk about the primary and secondary use of health data through the upcoming electronic health data space regulation. Probably all of you have heard about EHDS by now, whether you like it or not. It's everywhere. However, it's not active. This is upcoming regulation. The regulation has progressed quite a bit. It has been approved. It's there, but implementation will take years because we're trying to essentially integrate the electronic health records of everything in Europe, not just hospitals, your pharmacy, the place you get the lab work done, medical imaging, and so forth and so on. So this brings a lot of opportunities once that's achieved, right? It started as an idea of facilitating movement of people across Europe. So if you're European, you live in country A, you go to country B, you all of a sudden need medical attention, you need your electronic health record to travel with you. I suffer from a chronic condition. This is very important to me. I could be treated very easily with the wrong medication that will have an adverse instead of a positive effect on my health. So having a patient summary, having e-prescription makes a lot of difference to people who travel across Europe. However, this has also produced a huge opportunity for researchers in any disease domain, but especially disease areas like frailty and dementia, where probably the causative factors start early on in life, and we have a really hard time. Obviously, you cannot have in an ideal world, we'll all have access to 70-year-old cohorts, longitudinal cohorts that collect data, but in reality, this is almost impossible to achieve. But our doctors, all of our pathologists collect data every time we visit. Every time we get a test, there's a computer that has that information. If we integrate it all together, it will open the doors of opportunity to do really long-term longitudinal research using secondary use of data. So I'm going to touch a little bit more on the secondary use of data, but I want to explain the primary use of data as well, because that's what makes secondary use of data available. The justification wasn't actually research. The research evolved as a natural consequence of achieving the primary use of data. So what can we build? Imagine having anonymous, but yet access to the electronic health records of everybody in a country or everybody in Europe. I'm sure you all had at one point had to do power analysis, and we struggled to find 100, 1,000, 2,000. I recently did a cohort of 10,000, and we thought we were, most powerful cohort of its kind. Here we're going to have millions, okay? And they will be available at the click of a button, provided you figure out the technical challenges of how to utilize them in your research without de-anonymizing, without putting extra risk, adhering to GDPR, and so forth. So what are the things we can do? We can have much better clinical decision support systems. We can have very much improved order entry and management, have patient care coordination that transcends the clinician, your personal physicians, and even the country you live in, so you'll be able to travel a lot better and still receive the care you need. And we are going to be able to have an improved patient engagement, because by integrating all the health data, you make it easier for the patient to access it, understand it, seek a second opinion, go to a different specialist, and so forth. Research. Public health surveillance. We all take medicines at one point or another. We call them phase 4 clinical trials. I was involved in several in my career. This is going to make it so easy to do a phase 4 clinical trial that I expect it will change the way we do phase 4 clinical trials in the future. Care delivery and quality improvement. We can develop new methods. Those of you working in AI, for example, having the volume of data will allow you to develop advanced AI-based techniques to create decision support systems, to create the next generation of technologies that are going to assist the clinician and the patient to do their job and stay healthier. Finally, the European health data space is a challenging thing to achieve, right? People usually when I present this stuff, they say it will take decades. Well, I'm old enough to remember when the first discussions of what today we call GDPR started. And yes, it took several years, but it was achieved, and now it's part of our everyday lives. The AI Act itself also had a similar trajectory, but it is part of our everyday life. And don't forget, EHDS isn't just a dream. It's been voted, it's been approved. Hasn't been adopted by states yet because this was just a few months ago, but it will be. They have a couple of years until they align it and progress with it. So it's coming. It's not imminent in the sense that projects like COMFORTage will have the ability to use it for secondary use, because it does have a road to implementation that will take several years. But COMFORTage 2 most likely will have access for secondary use through EHDS. So it's good for all of us to consider that when we're doing research, that this data is upcoming, and we need to think how to capitalize it. So there's a lot of challenges. Data interoperability, we have countries that have their own systems for integrating their own medical institutions, for example, and those are not as modern as other countries or as what EHDS wants to do. So how do we achieve legislation that allows those countries to continue to operate without a huge bill for nothing, while at the same time integrating the data with the rest of Europe? Data security and privacy, I think I don't need to analyze that. You can all understand the critical importance of having data security and privacy in an electronic health system of any kind. Patient empowerment, because we can create these digital gateways for the patient to actually be better informed about their own care. Opportunities of issue for research and innovation, cross-border data sharing, and building trustworthy and efficient systems, because the idea is not that Europe will come and implement the solution and give it to the hospitals, but rather it will create the legislation that will allow industry, academics to develop software to provide to hospitals, and the hospitals that adopt the one that better fits them to provide the EHDS. So I'm going to talk very briefly about XTHR. XTHR is a joint action with every Ministry of Health or competent authority and some affiliated entities in Europe. If I remember correctly, we are 53 partners. I am the scientific manager both of COMFORTage through one of my affiliation and to XTHR through another affiliation I have that's in the public domain. What XTHR is doing is essentially developing implementation guidelines for EHDS. Okay, project is progressing very well, and it will likely complete on time, which is in about a year and something. So you will have already the implementation guidelines that will help you achieve implementation into EHDS. So it's coming. The main message I want to give you is that there's a lot of ongoing work. This is even the only joint action. There's a couple of other ones as well that are working towards EHDS, and there are people in the consortium who are actively involved in some of these projects. If you need to meet any, please come up and talk to me, I'll introduce you. Then I want to talk a little bit about EHDS for secondary use. So in this case, we have a project in Cyprus where I'm again the scientific manager. I like the title, I think. It's called Cyprus EHDS Second, where we are actually implementing specifically for secondary use. We couldn't wait. There are so many researchers involved in our national health authority that we couldn't wait until the EHDS. We want to prioritize the secondary use because we see in small countries like ours, with a relatively isolated population until 20, 30 years ago when air flights became cost efficient for people to move around. Our island is quite isolated. We're over 150 nautical miles from the next nearest friendly neighbor, let's say. So it's easier to have a population that genetically is a little bit unique than the other populations, and quite often we get novel breakthroughs and treatments that don't actually work in our population, or the opposite. So for us, it's of great importance to be able to do research on our own population efficiently. So this project is going to be a 4-year project. Obviously, we have to extend it so that everything around it exists so we can implement it. But we've already started, and we've already solved some challenges, such as integration of biobanks, integration of medical centers, including research focused ones, laboratories, universities, as you can see at the very top, and so forth. So why am I presenting all this stuff to you? COMFORTage is focused on dementia and frailty, right? Like I said at the beginning of my speech, and George presented very well, aging starts when we're born, and even before, right? We are aging every minute of every day. Sorry to cause some stress. The factors that probably lead to us having a more severe case of dementia or frailty, probably the causative factors start much earlier in life. And they have to do with lifestyle choices, they have to do with exposure to environmental conditions, they might have to do with genetics, obviously. How do we study it, right? It's very easy to say, oh, I'm going to do a cohort where I'm going to do whole genome sequencing and so forth. 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 people, but how practical? By bringing the clinical setting from the day they're born until the moment you're doing it, enables us to have a huge statistical power, and it also enables us to have realistic data and be better informed with higher dimensionality. But there's another catch that you have to think about. It's about your future cohorts. Let's hypothesize you're designing a brand new cohort and you have funding for 5 years. Right now, you're limited to, let's say, 4 years of follow-up you need a year to set up. With EHDS, you'll be able to actually enroll someone, get their informed consent to monitor them for life unless they come in and refuse and change their consent. And you will be able to, even after the end of your funding period, continue to have access to that data. So whenever you have your next funding and you can hire the people to actually do the research, you will have a continuous flow of data from these individuals to continue. To me, this is critical because projects like COMFORTage are really limited in terms of duration and the things we can do due to the limited duration. And this is going to change things quite a bit, I expect, in the coming years. So I want to thank you very much. Here are the...
Thank you very much, Athos, for this enlightening presentation with regards to the secondary and primary use of the data. And now I would like to give the floor and the microphone to Dr. Mikhail Sivtsensku from Abilito Capital in order to provide a presentation with regards to the role of the ecosystem in innovation. Mikhail, the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you so much. Good morning. So until we have the slides, I'd like to say that we have seen some very interesting presentations before on digital health, on care to seniors, and also the power of innovation, which can make our life better. My name is Mihai Sfințescu, and I would like to talk now about the role of the ecosystem supporting deep tech innovation, with an emphasis on deep tech startups and strategic partnerships, which are particularly relevant in the health sector. Why is that? Because in the health sector, the time to market tends to be long due to the requirement of doing clinical trials and obtaining the regulatory approvals. Before I start, a few words of myself. I'm an equity investor and a startup advisor who had the privilege of being exposed to both the Romanian and European innovation and venture capital markets. This experience allowed me to learn a lot from my very good colleagues and collaborators. And in particular, my experience with the European Innovation Council in the ESC Accelerator Jury and on the ESC Scaling Club has given me a unique perspective on selecting and scaling the deep tech startups, especially in the health sector. And I would like to, I'm not a doctor, I admire doctors, but my studies are in engineering and business. So now let's start. So first of all, if we look at the needs of the deep tech companies, which are, I think, similar for pretty much all the sectors, they require heavy investments for the long run, as time to market is typically long, and this is obvious in the health sector. Then there are technical challenges which may very well be anticipated, and regulatory approvals which as I said, are relevant in the health sector. Additionally, prototyping and scaling also require significant time and investment, especially when hardware is involved. IP importance is protection of IP is of course of key importance, and this is why we see a lot of patents in the medical field. Then of course the startups would need a complementary well-rounded team that includes both specialists from the medical sector, in this case specialists in hardware, specialists in software, and also regulatory expertise. Collaboration with other ecosystem players like universities, research centers, hospitals, and dedicated public agencies at national and European level are also a need. Finally, the understanding of the regulatory framework and what is the best navigating course to take is especially important in regulated sectors such as health. And here we have a lot of regulations that have impact from the obtaining the marketing authorization, protection of data, and various other specific requirements for each industry, for each segment. Finding the problem solution fit and the product market fit typically requires trial and error, and sometimes pivoting is necessary. And of course, mentorship and support by mentors and advisors is very important. For today, I'll focus on partnership with universities, research centers, and industry operators. The existing research from research centers and universities can obviously be used by the deep tech startups to develop specific applications for a use case. Or it also can be used to enhance an existing product. Then there is a knowledge exchange. So you can have knowledge exchange because in the universities you have cutting edge technologies and also knowledge about the industry trends. And at the same time, you have in the startups, we have knowledge about the market and about particular applications, and there can be a cross-fertilization between the deep tech startups and universities and research centers. On IP management, there can be support from the universities and the research centers to including in terms of filing patents and IP management. And then, of course, you have specialized facilities and labs universities and research centers and hospitals, which are needed for testing, validation, and certification by the deep tech startups during the product development cycle. You also, of course, have data in case of digital health, and data, of course, with the anonymized and in accordance with the regulations can be used to, for instance, to train models that are based on deep learning or machine learning. And then, of course, there is a development of human resources, which was to the benefit of universities and research centers, because sometimes you can have people that work work with deep tech startups as advisors or otherwise, and they can learn what it takes to bring a product to the market. Okay. Also, universities sometimes have incubators or accelerators that can provide the startups with mentorship resources and network opportunities. Now, what are the benefits for tech startups to partner with industrial operators? They can contribute to the deep tech startup with research facilities and equipment. They have clients and access to markets, and there can be also be cooperation on preclinical and clinical trials. And here we have more types in health. So we can have big pharma, which has its own of marketing of medicines. Then you have devices, and then you have all the providers of healthcare, like hospitals that have also their own market, and they can cooperate. They have also a lot of data, so that they can also cooperate on clinical trials and other type of forms of cooperation. They can be situations where industry operators, and this is especially with big pharma, they may choose to share the costs to bring the technologies to the market. And we just had a very prominent case with BioNTech and Pfizer, which made an agreement with the vaccine with the COVID vaccine that has been administered to many of us. What are the benefits for industrial corporations? They can maintain and boost their competitiveness by gaining exposure to emerging technology and trends. And this is usually a big incentive for big pharma and medtech companies, because they want to be able to absorb these innovations in their own company, and then use their marketing and sales muscle to put the products in the worldwide market. Then they can also add the revenue streams to their business by integrating these new technologies. And this can be the case for hospitals, where if you come up with some additional treatments that can bring new revenue streams. Then also for some of the corporations, the benefit of working with deep tech startups is that they maintain the financial predictability, because the risk exposure to the product development cycle is limited. They don't need to. They can just pay certain amounts that they know upfront, and they don't have to have more risk than that. And of course, there's also about market agility for big pharma and medtech, because they can quickly adjust to market changes using these new technologies. Because quite often, for instance, there is a new approach to a medical treatment that can make the previous ones less interesting. And in terms of forms of cooperation, we have a lot of different types, from joint ventures and co-development agreements, licensing. Can have corporate or university accelerators, corporate venture capital, commercialization partnerships, and of course collaboration with other players, including venture capital, angel investors, and accelerators. These benefits make cooperation between universities, research centers, industry operators, and tech startups mutually advantageous, driving innovation and progress in various fields. In conclusion, we are not in an every man for himself type of world, and it is my belief that we can only succeed together in our Romanian ecosystem, and indeed there is so much value that can be unlocked by cooperation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It is a key aspect, the overall collaboration between research centers, venture capitals, and the industry in order to uptake the adoption of emerging technologies. And now I would like to give the floor to Gabriel Mihail from Siemens Romania in order to provide a presentation with regards to ETL data processing orchestration towards data spaces. Gabriel.
Thank you. Thank you for this nice introduction. Glad to be in front of such an audience. We in Siemens have been participating in this European project, which is has many objectives. Yes. Oh, right. Sorry. Because, right. So has many objectives, but the most important ones are to design and create a decentralized marketplace, allowing the easy resource sharing of different types of data, all under the European data spaces umbrella. The second objective is to develop tools to allow this interoperability, and the best way we did this is semantic ontologies to do this. The third one is to enable data storage that will focus on scalability, energy efficiency, and security. And the last one will be to create AI services like federated learning, like different AI model training. So in one sentence, green AI as a service. Now, who we are actually is a consortium formed out of several partners like universities, which provide also the knowledge and the research into the data storage, data interoperability, and industrial partners, and also providers for the actual data sets that will go to this marketplace. Now, the four pilots that we have right now are in these domains: mobility digital twin, urban mobility planning in Santander, and energy consumption in Athens, and water-related data EGM from France, which provides data about water management from a dam, also which is somewhere in the French Alps. Now, what you're going to get from this this presentation will be first the architecture of the project. Then you will understand probably what we do, what Siemens does in this project. And third one is, at the last, what is the connection to our context? So how is this project connected to to the healthcare domain. So the architecture of this project is this one. So you can see in the left side a toolbox which will be provided on each participant side. We have two types of sites. One is the provider end, and the other is the consumer end. And somewhere in the middle, there's technology like decentralized. You're probably familiar with Bitcoin, with blockchain. So such technology that kind of governs the transactions between the provider domain and the consumer domain. Well, in the provider domain, we have all sorts of tools like data cleaning tools, AI modules, UI, which the provider can use, and similar tools will be found in the consumer part. And we have here like a, let's say, functional architecture. This is similar to the OC system, going from the data layer up to the service layer. If you want a more detailed type of description of this architecture, we'll have here the interoperability layer, data curation, processing, AI enablers, distributed ledger, data space, and open data enabler. This is actually the connection to our discussion and our context today. Now, everything under the umbrella of trustness, and everything is stored somewhere. So we have a storage enabler. To map all these functional components on an existing IDSA type of architecture, which is GAIA-X, IDSA International Data Spaces. So this is GAIA-X takes care of with each component of how the data sets are flowing from one side to the other. And we mapped in this architecture all our components to the best that we could. I'm not going to go into details because it's a bit technical. Just to reiterate the architecture, so we have here toolbox A on the provider, toolbox B on the consumer. So what we're trying to do is to get the data from some type of format, irrelevant which type of format, it's totally different formats. We get them into a data processing pipeline which contains data curation models, trying to homogenize the data. Everything comes under the umbrella of NGS-IRD, so it's a semantic ontology. So the data is kind of connected all together. And we then process our AI algorithms to obtain better insights from the data. Then all these services are then delivered to the consumer domain, to the customer, via these connectors, which are EHDS connection, which are data spaces connection. And as in any marketplace, you have to have a catalog. So it's a distributed catalog where the customer comes and browses the catalog, finds the assets to the best of its needs, and then tries to use them and fit them for their purpose. Now, just to think about the pipelines. So if you remember, we have the pipelines on the producer side. So we have here using, well, it's MageAI, but it's something that takes the data from a type of database and then performs data anomaly detection, data annotation, etc., and then put it back in the database. Then we have here AI processing pipeline, which takes the same data, so it's a semantic type of ontology, takes the data, performs all sorts of data processing, puts it in an AI model, then it manages this model with the use of NFlow, and then storages everything that comes out of the model like accuracy of the model, like confusion metrics, and all sorts of metrics about the model. Then we prepared kind of a studio, if you want, of for these pipelines. So this is the interface that we're actually implementing in Siemens, and these are the major let's say backend for these pipelines. And as I promised you, there's a connection between the data spaces and our processing pipeline. So everything that comes on the producer side will be connected to the consumer side. So the consumer side will see this type of interface via the ADC connection. And not the last one is this is our vision of how this product, this marketplace could be used. So we have here, let's say, file format. This is injected into our pipelines. The file is transformed into any type of format. Right now we use CSV, for example, because data scientists love CSVs, data. And then through this connector, we connect the hospital 1 to hospital 2. The hospital 2 will benefit of the nicely formatted CSV, and then it can transfer it to its own filer database. How this happens? So once the hospital 2 will discover the catalog, offerings from hospital 1 will negotiate the offer and then transfer the asset. But as I said, it's a marketplace, so this is how it's supposed to work. And that's our idea of how we can help, especially in the healthcare domain. So thank you, and yeah.
Thank you very much, Gabriel. Really interesting presentation approach in order to see how you can process the data and provide the different enablers. So with this, I would like to conclude this first session, and I give the floor to Luisa for
The photo, the panel photo.
the photo panel. Okay.
Yes, please.
So, yes, okay. Photo panel, and then we'll go to the second session.
You also in the middle, okay? Okay, so I invite you before, yes. For the next, yeah, I think they are there. So, okay, Donna Mihaela Garici, vă rog. Thank you very much, the first panelist. I invite the next, I'm very honored to open the second panel, and I invite Dr. Constantin Nutsu. Dr. Constantin Nutsu, please. Professor Alexandru Scafa Udriște. Professor Scafa. Professor Scafa, Flaviana, te rog. Vă rog, luați loc. Doctor inginer Adrian Victor Ververa, împreună cu colaboratora dumnealui, care este pe drum, va veni imediat. Doctor Răzvan Trașcu. Răzvan? I'm sorry. Doctor Răzvan Trașcu, where is Răzvan? Okay, and myself. Good. So the first panelist is Dr. Constantin Nutsu. Medicine and business. Dr. Constantin Nutsu is well known as the creator, the founder of Dr. 31, Dr. 31. So it's a very smart company, But he will tell you more about this. You have the floor, Dr. Mutsueda. We are very happy to have you here.
Thank you for having me. Hi, I'm Konstantin. I'm a medical doctor and also a programmer. And I want to present my vision for the healthcare future. Just a second, please.
Yes.
The moment. I think we have a problem with the presentations on computers. So I will invite my dear friend Flaviana Otaru. Flaviana is the president of Grow Health and Bioeconomy Gold Cluster in Romania. Did you succeed?
Yes, but
Okay, so we will switch. Okay, so good. So again, Dr. 31. Dr. Rivera, please take a seat here beside us. Okay, good.
Thank you. So, imagine that you are not feeling well and you have an app in your phone that acts like a real doctor. So, why this? Because there are more than 55,000 different conditions regarding to World of Health Organization. We have more than 20,000 different medication, more than 50,000 different dietary supplements, and more than 3,000 distinct laboratory tests. And we have only 12.9 million doctors worldwide. And if we correlate all this data with more than all 8 billion patients, we have a very small amount of time for each patient. And here where comes Dr. 31. Dr. 31 aims to improve diagnosis, reduce errors, and lower the cost, benefiting both doctor and patients. So how Dr. 31 helps? By shortening the anamnesis time, because this is the most painful part for each doctor. We are reaching this with our 3D avatar, which is a unique feature on the market. The doctor also have the diagnosis support where he can see the possible causes for each symptoms, the medication side effects, and not the side effects regarding the symptoms, and also with the lab test values. We have also the emergency level, which is very important. When in a facility you don't have a doctor, you have only a nurse or something. It's very important, this part of the app. We have also the module where we help the doctors to interpret the laboratory analysis. And we have the health risk, which is very important in prevention. Based on the data provided by the patients, the doctor can see what is possible to happen in the future. And we have also real-time statistics collected from all the Dr. 31 cases. So why we are doing this? Because we want to help to reduce this number, this 2.6 million deaths each year regarding to the medical errors. So please be ready to be free to download the app. This is a beta version, is available on App Store and Google Play. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Mutsu. How's the company going? Fine, thank you. We are very happy to have you here, and thank you for the presentation. So let's go further forward. Mrs. Flaviana Rotaru, the president of the Gold Cluster, Romanian Gold Cluster Rural Health, doing a lot of things, doing a lot not only for Romania, but also having an impressive European and international network. Flaviana is a hard worker, and she succeeded during the last year to bring together the most important players in Romania in the field of health. So she also succeeded to transform the initial cluster into a gold one from silver. I'm also very proud to be part of it. So Flaviana, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Lisa. Actually, I see also other members in our health. Lucian is one of our newest members, so Dr. 31. This is something you see or not. Okay, I will be brief, regardless. I would like to tell you a lot of things because we talk about the ecosystems. Yeah, I forgot the tool. Okay, it's very important to understand what is actually the power of a cluster because, as far as I know, almost every country in Europe has at least one. As Lisa said, we are 10 years old, we've been through all processes. There's a logic. What should I do to actually move the slide? Could you move the slide, please? Next. We jump over the definition. Please jump to slide number 7 because the time is very short. Oh, here, okay. So this is how Romanian health clusters look like. It's from health, it's health and bioeconomy from health. No, back please. You jumped. Could you please back to the composition? Thank you very much. As you can see, the power of a cluster is given by SMEs. And you have to know that this is not a Romanian recipe, it's a worldwide recipe. You need SMEs because they are the heart of the processes. Next, please, because it's not working this. We jump also over this. I'm trying to be more efficient this time. Because we are so many and we have different interests, we are working in groups. And now I want to go to the next slide to tell you a little story about how powerful these groups can be. As you can see, several years ago, we realized that there are a lot of things missing in the ecosystem, but most important, health was not a smart priority in Romania. What means smart? Means that you get connected with several types of funding. We realized that in 2013, and we actually developed a lobby program because there are several projects, and actually got involved in all these strategic processes. And I remember that in 1 August, me and Luisa were arguing about, is this a holiday or not? It was not. For the Romanian health cluster, was not. Because what we did, we actually got involved in all the strategic documents affecting health funding and health ecosystem. And as you can see, right now we are in the strategy for digitalization in health. I can tell you that more than 30% of the experts there are my colleagues from the eHealth group. As in, for example, national strategy for R&D, we were like 80% of the people actually working and drafting the document were part of Rural Health cluster and Rural Health groups. Why is this important? Because we've been there. We check what is going on and we propose a domain. You are actually trying today to develop your solutions. So if you don't like what you see, be the change, get involved and free of charge because none of us was actually paid a dime for this kind of work. Be there, explain them what is good, explain what is wrong and look into the future. If you just sit and complain, you know that nothing will change. So one change, be the change. I will jump again. And how was this reflected? Look, so much money. Why? Romania has a special program called Operational Program for Health. Only us. Why? Because we ask so much money and so many domains for health. They give it to us as a separate program. And now, all we have to do is to come with great ideas and help them spend the money for the next 7 years. So as you can see, we are on this, that's why we are gold standard cluster. It's not something that we are saying about ourselves. The European Commission says about us that we are a gold standard cluster, and we hope to keep it also for the next 10 years, yeah. And I would like to show you a little bit other things. How we contribute. We talk about the members. Okay, we push the policy to be actually effective in relation with the members, but in the meantime, we also look on their needs. And I would like to raise my concern because you talk about digital health data on two aspects. One, on the regulation side, software is a medical device since last August. That means cost between 50K up to 500K for regulatory issues, despite cost for technicals, despite cost for clinical study. So be aware that the new regulations are actually a barrier in Europe for implementing, for developing solution. Right now, the only solution we have is skip Europe. This is it, that you have to be very aware that you actually, if you start today to develop a product, you will not be able to put it in the market earlier than 4 years. And this is a happy prediction. Also, if you want to develop software as a medical device, you need a lot of standards to be implemented in your organization. So, and if you ask a complete list of them, actually nobody can give it to you right now. They don't even know. So, I am an innovator myself. I develop medical software, but I can tell you that if you look at all these rules, you might think twice. My proposal is not to think twice, is to go and get trained on this awful part of the job, which is regulation, via this project, which is for free, teaching all the European producers how to develop the documents necessary for the CE mark. So it's a U4Health funding project, and it helps you for the next 18 months still with this type of training. So if this is what you want to do in the future, please get connected with this community. You have a lot of free tools that will stay free for several years. Please use them to ease your life. And we hope that in time we manage to change a little bit also on the regulation side. The presentation is long, will be circulated. I will not bore you anymore because we are a lot of in delay. You have on the tables the clusters brochure. You can find all the members with their description, and then we will cooperate. And this presentation will circulate, and I'm here for questions in the break. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Flaviana. Very good. I'm going to change again the order of presenters because Mr. Rivera has to be at the Parliament and he has to be there around 11. So please, he will speak about transforming Romanian healthcare with AI-powered data integration for a connected Europe. He's the General Manager of National Institute for Research and Development in Information Technology. He's a well-known person here in Romania and a dear partner of us. He's accompanied by Elena, his colleague. So please, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, first of all. It's a pleasure to be here. Sorry, I'm going, but I live here, a brilliant colleague with research in AI, but knows a lot about health. And if you ask what we are doing here, we are National Institute for Research and Development in ITNC, and it's a discussion about health. But we want to present you something about AI, because we have a very strong department AI, and we have a very strong part of this department working for a part of health. I start the presentation, and I leave my colleagues Elena Paraskiv to deliver you and to can get all the answer if you want to have questions. Elena, take a floor.
Okay, thank you.
Good morning. My name is Ana Aslan. I'm a scientific researcher at ICI Bucharest. I'm currently working in the AI laboratory, so we are really focusing on developing AI applications for healthcare domain. And today I'm going to present a little bit of how European health data space and AI integration can be focused on a connected Europe. Hope it works. No?
No? Sorry. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, because I think it's a good problem. No, the connection. You can see it. It's a screen, it's a problem with the screen.
Apologies for these technical problems. We will solve them.
Again? One more?
Yeah, again.
Yeah, it's a problem with the cable. Something like that. Yeah. Let's see. Is it
Yes. Yeah.
It seems that technology is beating us a bit. No.
Okay, sorry.
Sorry for the connection. So, as an introduction to this vision of an interconnected Europe for European health data space, Romania, as we know, faces a lot of challenges regarding data management, but it is not the only country that faces this issue. Every European countries need to focus on data management, and especially in the healthcare sector. As we know, the fragmentation of data limits this potential for efficient patient management. But now, with European health data space, it aims to address these challenges across Europe by creating this secure healthcare data framework. AI can be the potential to unlock the true value of healthcare data. What is the role actually of AI in this data integration? As we already know, artificial intelligence algorithms are very important and are a lot of applications regarding AI in healthcare domain, especially for data processing. AI can help us in cleaning, normalizing, and harmonizing data in order to have the same structure and standards in the end. With AI, we can link and analyze multiple types of data. This is called multimodal AI, in which we have integrating clinical records, imaging data, genomic information in order to have this image of the patient for a personalized care. Securing and verifying data quality is very important in order to share in the end the accurate and up-to-date and also protective information of the patient. When we are talking about AI integration into European health data space, we are talking about patient-centric AI, so we have to focus on the patient. In this case, we have personalized patient care, so if up to now the approach of traditional one-size-fits-all was working, so we applied the same treatment for a patient no matter what his genomic information or his electronic health record were. Now we have to personalize the treatment regarding each patient separately. We have to, with AI, we can predict disease patterns and improve diagnostics. We are talking also about precision medicine. So if we have the genomic information of the patient, it is very important and it will drive precision medicine. This can enable Romanian healthcare to offer treatments tailored to each patient, each patient's unique biological patterns. We at ICI, we are focusing on this bioinformatics domain, so we are currently developing researches into this direction. It is very important to also own to the patient the health data, so the patient can be empowered and maybe engaged into his own medical treatment if he manages his own personal data. In order to talk about the cross-border health intelligence and in crisis response, artificial intelligence has become indispensable in this domain as well. There are a lot of use cases that are being researched internationally. For example, Australia have integrated AI to analyze satellite imagery and social media data in order to manage wildfires. And also World Health Organization employed AI in order to manage the COVID-19 pandemic based on the transmission patterns of the virus and also to optimize this distribution of medical supplies. What can be done with the help of AI in Romania for health crisis management? We can monitor epidemics and crises to enable real-time health monitoring. We can map the diseases when there will be other, hopefully not, epidemics. And we can optimize resources during emergencies. Of course, we have to talk about the legal part of AI. As many of us already know, EU AI Act is currently under development and will be officially put into the legal terms. And AI in healthcare is very important to be considered as it is classified as high risk in the EU AI Act. Romanian healthcare providers have to implement transparent and accountable AI practices. In this regard, explainable AI is very important, but is very important, but it comes with a lot of challenges, such as bias control and continuous monitoring, and of course it is very important to manage these AI models in order not to predict something that is not true. Data provenance and fairness is also very important. The system must actively mitigate biases, promoting fairness and equity in these AI-driven decisions. For policy innovation in Romania and in Europe, AI is transforming policy development in healthcare, and we have two key points: evidence-based health policy development and AI-enhanced resource allocation models. As an example of this innovation into the policy, we already have UK National Health Service AI Lab that is currently allocated over 123 million pounds to 86 organizations for developing and evaluating AI. This part is very important because we have to take into consideration that the policy have to the governments have to take into consideration a good plan in order to enhance and protect the data, and to enable AI models that will be integrated into these healthcare services. As a proposed AI-driven roadmap, first of all, we have data collection and analysis. So data is very important to be collected and to be normalized and to be fair. Evidence-based health policy development. Step 3 is with an AI-enhanced resource allocation. Policy benchmarking for step 4. Step 5, policy simulation on virtual population, and step 6, implementation, but this will be in the end for continuous monitoring. So as a conclusion, I think that Romania stands at a vital juncture to become a cornerstone for the European health data space. At ICI, we are developing, as I said in the beginning, AI applications that can be implemented into clinics. Through embracing this AI-driven data integration, Romania can enhance a patient-centered care. And of course, a key word that can be emphasized is collaboration that has to be between government bodies, healthcare institutions, and technology sectors in order to develop Romania as a key pivotal role into this AI-enhanced European health data space. Thank you for your attention, and if you have any questions,
Okay, Lena, thank you very much. Good. I have an announcement. Dr. Scafa, Professor Scafa, he's an interventional cardiologist. He just sent us, he just texted us that he has a myocardial infarction in one of the hospital rooms, so he can't. So we will continue. We will continue with vitality. Where is the?
Yeah.
So. Before beginning, I would just love to invite Professor Michel Delias from the Western University of Geneva, AI Department, Artificial Intelligence Department, who's also my colleague at the University of Medicine and Pharmacy in Bucharest, Carol Davila, in our department. Please take a seat, Michel. And one of the experts of this Vitality 65 Plus, who's Dr. Horace Mica, psychiatrist, and who is the expert for mental health and for brain health, please. So, what is Vitality 65 Plus? It's the first, as you know, we are an R&D organization, and this is our first social project, and the idea of developing this kind of project was last year in December. when we seriously thought about the alphabetization in health for ordinary people, for the large public who doesn't know essentials about the most important diseases and challenges in the Romanian health society. So the idea came like this, and then in February, March, we succeeded to get the first financement from a private organization. It's our first project, but this is a national project for a national strategy. Why? Because the lack of comprehensive data on healthy literacy among people over 65 is a very critical need in Romania for specific health literacy initiatives. Because this health literacy is associated with better health outcomes, with a reduction in hospitalization and a lower healthcare cost. And this project is in line, as you know probably, or all of us probably know, because the documents are available for everybody, are in line with the guidelines on health literacy, promoting confidence and equitable access to healthcare on behalf of the Council of Europe in 2023, but also according to the World Health Organization policies on healthy aging, the WHO's work on the UN Decade for Healthy Aging 2030. As you remember, healthy aging means to create environment and new opportunities that enable older people to maintain their value and purpose in life. But of course, it's about the aging in place concept, which we present every year and we develop every year. And I think COMFORTage is one of the most important tools to continue to do research in this field. And related to the vision and rationale of the Life 65 Plus project, as I said, we improve health literacy. We address the lack of accessible information and supports for seniors to improve the quality of life, which is essential. And the beneficiaries are older adults 65 plus and over, but this is not exclusively. And what we expect to get is to increase the health literacy and to empower the older adult community and to reduce the medical visits and all the costs related to it. The core activities are the digital infrastructure and website is on working. We develop an accessible and user-friendly website on digital health, podcast, webinar recording, and so on. The content is a production of digital health guidelines and guides on critical topics such as diabetes, cardiovascular diseases, mental health, and prevention and vaccination prevention for flu. We would like to develop the community engagement strategies and the development plans for this. As I said, we organize many, and this is a short movie that we produced recently. So this is our new project, and I hope so to be efficient and successful with it. It's in the very beginning. And of course, we have to attract more and more money for this, just to transform it not only on a strategic Romanian project, but also to transform it into a European model for this kind of projects. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And Lydia Singh is working with us on the policy of Ana Aslan International Foundation Research Group. Thank you very much. Thank you for the experts. You are two of the experts, as you know, and we are just in the beginning. You know, it's a hard work to do, but I think this will reach each individual of the Romanian community.
There's no doubt. No. I think there is no doubt that it will be successful. As Luisa introduced, I am professor at the University of Geneva and University of Applied Science of Western Switzerland, and I am also visiting professor since almost 1 year here in Bucharest. And it's very funny with Luisa, because I know her since 13 years, and now she just invite me to different events without giving lots of details, just saying you will see, it will perfectly match what you want, what you need, what is your expertise, and so on. So at the beginning, I was asking always many questions because I was not feeling very comfortable. And now, little by little, I discover that each time I discover wonderful people, and it is also the case this time, I discover really interesting projects, which means that now when Luisa is continuing to invite me, I don't ask anything anymore. I just come, I let me surprise, and I discover that this time it will be certainly again like the former one. And thank you all, and thank you also for the discussions that I already had for some of you. I'm really looking forward to know more about COMFORTage and to continue the discussion with you. And of course, thank you, thank you very much, Luisa, for inviting me for this proposal. Project.
I'm grateful, but don't forget, because it's the COMFORTage team, he's the external expert that you agreed to be the external expert for COMFORTage, so you're in a triple position today. Okay.
Each time a bit more.
Yes, each time a bit more. And surprisingly, you know, if we are not friends, you never accept my proposals. But this is why friendship is, just to continue working together. Thank you very much.
I will try to say. So I'm a psychiatrist. I'm a PhD in psychology, and for almost 20 years I was a psychiatrist in France, and I have a project to relocate my professional activity in Romania, and in that context I'm honored to have that collaboration with all of you. And I think so that mental health is singularly and very, very specifically involved in this project.
It's one of the hottest topics.
Yes, because all depends on that, and also by the definition of the World Health Organization, it's almost as the well-being, not only the lack of pathology. So something things like that.
Thank you very much. Anyway, thank you. You know, psychiatrists, they have to talk in their own environment, not in public. It's always like this. Anyway, thank you. So it's my pleasure to invite Dr. Ana Aslan International. He's the medical director of the Ana Aslan International Foundation. He's a PhD student as well, but also he's the medical coordinator of Smart Bear project. So he will update us related to this huge project, which is going to approach the end in February next year. Thank you, Aslan.
Hello, everybody. As Luisa said, my name is Ana Aslan International, and I would like today to showcase the Romanian pilot of the Smart Bear project. Fun fact, almost everybody pronounces it Smart Bear. No, nobody knows why. Rest assured, my presentation will be short because I'd rather use the slides to incite to questions and discussions. So what Smart Bear is about? It's about a smart big data platform to offer evidence-based, personalized medicine and support for healthy and independent living at home. I won't dwell into the details, it's just a huge Horizon project, the last one that is still active from the Horizon 2020. It involves 29 partners in 10 countries, and in Romania it is just about Ana Aslan International Foundation and our friends at IT Software Solutions, a small SME which acts as our technical partner. The overall aim of the project is to develop an innovative platform to support the healthy and independent living of older adults who actually have 2 or more of specific list of comorbidities, and we aim to intervene on the lifestyle, on the risk factors, and on the management of the chronic diseases. Of course, it starts from data generated from off-the-shelf devices, IoT and IoMT devices, and this data is collected into a cloud platform, and it's then fed to big data analytics, and all the time it has to consider, as it was previously mentioned, it has to consider the security and privacy of medical data. So far, we only have available some of the devices that were meant to be part of the project, which mean the smart scale, the oximeter, the thermometer, and of course the smartphone, which is used to bridge and relay data to the cloud. The top right picture is from the actual first session of deploying the devices to older adults. And the central picture is just a reminder of the whole bureaucratic load that we all have to face in all the projects, and all the research projects. The clinical objectives are focused on reducing the morbidity based on active monitoring and on creating the premises of integrated care, thus ensuring an improved quality of life. It features 5 large-scale pilots expected to recruit over 4,000 participants in 5 countries. The remaining pilots are Romania, France, Greece, Italy, and Portugal. Besides the age criteria and the minimum set of comorbidities, it also involves a minimum cognitive status as reflected by a Montreal Cognitive Assessment Score above 18 and a Health Utility Index score. For those unfamiliar with the scale, HUI 3 means active use of both hands and full set of fingers. The overall concept meant a given set of devices, a given set of wearables which were expected to be deployed to all participants, with a couple of specific devices to be assigned to specific use case scenarios based on the comorbidities of the patients. There are also 2 synergies, one of them dedicated to balance disorders, and one of them is meant to be implemented by all pilots just as a means to prove interconnectivity with EHDS, the European Health Data Space. And I just skipped to some descriptive analysis of the Romanian pilot, because that's basically the purpose of the whole presentation. We have exceeded well above 500 patients recruited, 500 participants. It is a local oddity, but perhaps explained by the national specifics. We only have a quarter males, so we have a 3-to-1 female-to-male ratio. It's not very representative to the Romanian population, but my personal explanation for this is that probably in Romania, the females are way more interested and way more active in running things and organizing the family, and typically it's them who go to the doctor, even on behalf of their husbands. The age distribution is, as expected, around the average age, with relatively similar proportions of above and below the mean share. About 1/3 of our participants had only the minimum two comorbidities, regardless of which two they were. And another third of the participants had at least 4 comorbidities of the full set of 6. Thank you for your time. And if there are any questions or specifics you would like to discuss, I'm happy to respond.
Thank you. Good. Can you hear me now? I invite everybody thank you all the panelists. Thank you, Aslan, thank you, Flaviana, Michelle, Horace, Irene, Elena. So I invite you for the panelist photo, and then we will continue with let's talk and let's debate. And I will give them. We have a coffee break. 15 minutes?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You have
You have to admit that we were in time, okay? So please go to the panel. So 15, our boss, where is Yorgos? Yorgos, how much time we have for the coffee? 10 minutes, okay, 10 minutes. Okay, now the photo.
with the third session, as has been depicted in the agenda of this open day, where we will have an open discussion with regards to the different aspects and topics that have been presented previously by the speakers. So we will have a dialogue on, let's talk about European health data space, AI-based innovations, especially in the healthcare domain, and the different challenges and how we can address them. So I will give the floor to Dr. Ana Aslan that will moderate a bit the overall open discussion, and we will go until 12:15.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So the objective here is to have a discussion and hear your thoughts and have a chance to interact and talk about how frailty and dementia research can be further expanded. We want to hear your ideas, your thoughts. In an ideal world, we'd like you to think of EHDS and how that could contribute to your future research plans or the ongoing research. So let's start with a simple question. Who wants to speak about an ongoing project that has a cohort that collects data, right? Ideally not COMFORTage, but most of you are COMFORTage. So we can start with one, and then we can all discuss how, if we had the EHDS, this is how this one could be expanded. And if nobody volunteers, I'm gonna volunteer someone. So that's a threat and a warning. Come on, guys. There we go.
I can give you my PhD as
Yeah, of course.
as an example. So what we collected is the data, medical records of children and young people with orofacial cleft. We also did EEGs and psychological questionnaires. But the catch was that we had a lot of difficulty because although it being in the same building, into different floors, we had to transfer paper records from one floor to the other and then transcribe them and do stuff like that because the computer systems don't interact. Because there are two different entities technically and they all have their own IT solutions.
What's the name of the project? Is there a name?
No, there is no name.
Okay. So in your PhD, you face the problem of integration of two different floors in a single hospital.
Yeah, in a single building.
Yeah. So think of a system that actually, the way EHDS is structured, it does solve that issue. So it doesn't just integrate one hospital with another, it also integrates the systems within the hospital. So for example, for my disease, I go to one hospital because the best expert is there. But when I have to do an MRI, I go to another one because they have the best MRI. I then have to take the CT and take it to the other expert. EHDS foresees this and provides just for the medical imaging how it will be transferred to the clinician monitoring you. So in theory, provided you address GDPR, the AI Act, and no other legislation, you will be able to utilize the system. Furthermore, there's a level of maturity that we expect will take a few years for EHDS to climb, and this will be one of the first challenges, I'm guessing. It's not finalized yet, but I would expect that this is going to be one of the first ones because it's not only your hospital. It's a lot of hospitals. And in COMFORTage, we were discussing about collecting retrospective data the other day, and I wasn't surprised because it's common, unfortunately, but a lot of hospitals still keep pen and paper, so the doctor fills in forms, and at best they scan it. So this scan, even if it's typed, even if it's these free text documents or scanned documents, they're really difficult to do any research with. The cost, the overhead is massive.
What I'm really interested in is how EHDS systems in the project is handling getting doctors and all of the other interested parties on board. Because there's the interests here, I think, are the biggest barrier to actually making the unified system.
So I don't think any website wanted to put accept cookies at the bottom of it, but GDPR came and then everybody had it. Now I hated it at the beginning personally. Now I kind of enjoy the fact that I can say decline, and then I get a few less advertisements about whatever that website is. This is legislation. This will not be that much of an option. Individual countries may change their own national legislation a little bit, but the core concept of integrating and sharing data across EU countries will remain, and the methodology of doing it will be integrated. So in theory, and practice has taught us from GDPR, again, the AI Act and other legislations in the recent past, that this can be achieved. This can be achieved. My biggest concern is that they make it as seamless as possible, so we don't add even the click of a button extra to the work that the doctor has to do, because the doctors are already overworked. So we don't need more complicated systems. We want simple systems that just work, where the doctor doesn't need to understand what's happening behind him. He can just come and tell you, oh, what a great idea. Here's 10 patients, I have their consent forms, you can use them. And then you get not just the data that you are hoping to get, but also a lot of relevant data from the same patients from the past.
Yeah, from the science perspective, this also makes sense for screening for inclusion criteria.
So what does your project do? What's the endpoint? What's the objective?
Our endpoint is trying to explain how young people develop their sense of satisfaction with appearance from psychological data, from EEG.
Satisfaction with appearance?
Yeah, in orofacial cleft patients.
Okay. For the past 6-7 years, I was involved in a cohort for eating disorders. So this is one of the aspects we studied based in Italy, actually, the cohort. And it's a very important question for many psychiatric disorders. Wouldn't it be cool if by the time you have your own PhD students, you can go revisit the same patients and see what has happened to them 10 years after they were initially enrolled in this study? Wouldn't that be hugely valuable?
Yeah, and the good part about this is also that the patients are interested. So for stuff like this, making it easier, I think, really is a good thing, because now even if the patients are interested, you have to go through the ethics approval again. You have to get their consent. You have to mobilize everybody to get the records from one floor to the other.
So thank you for that pass. So we need to talk about opt-out now, right? So who knows what opt-out is?
Opt-out, I have another question
Yes.
that raised just now, because we are talking about legislation, about compliance with the mandates, the requirements of European health data space. But what about implementation? What about implementation of connectors, of solutions on that? And I would like to hear also Luke here, because he is participating in such an initiative and project that they focus on different implementation and solutions. So they focus on the technological perspective of that aspect.
And I'm happy to report that I worked with them in the project I mentioned, none of the projects mentioned earlier. So
thank you both. So indeed, also active in a project, indeed called Big Share, which is indeed, I would say, a bit the implementation arm of EHDS actually. I mean, at least we intend to put it to the test, and of course, in close connection. And actually, there was one aspect which is really important in the EHDS regulation, is that it took decades of debates in every single member state to decide if the patient will have access to data. It's still not the case in many countries, and in many countries it's very incomplete. So the EHDS regulation obliges every single member state to make those data available to patients. In eShare, we want to go further. So what we want to do is basically to use the 6 key interoperability domains which have been selected by the EHDS. So the ones that you already referred to: e-prescription, e-dispensation, lab report, patient summary, imaging report, and discharge report from hospital. Those 6 key information That's already a lot, let's be clear. That's a huge in the areas. And we want to empower those 6 domains and put them into the hands of the patient in order, thanks to a click of a button, what we used to now refer to as the European yellow button, a bit in relationship to what has been done in the US with the blue button, although the perspective was quite different. There it's mainly to claim the cost, basically. They need to access the data. We don't have, fortunately, this problem in Europe, but we want to empower. So here we have 2 concepts that we want to use to support implementation, which is the yellow button, it should be yellow actually, but, and what the industrial label. So the industrial label will, is supposed to check that EHR systems are capable to be compliant with the EHRX file specifications. So can you go next slide? And well, that's what you say. And basically now, together with EHR, which is more member states driven, the idea is to work on the specification and test them so that EHR can also rediscuss them, but to really put it to the test. And we are in the consortium, we have basically all the major standard development organizations which are responsible to that. And we are trying to work together, but there's more. We want to provide a testing and a testing environment for all the people. So providing all the specifications, the guideline, and the use case. So all together in what we used to call a bundle. So that means that you can start from specifications, see to which case it can apply, or you can start from a use case and see specifically which specific. So you can work in all different directions, and we want it to be open and, of course, ideally to be used by all the relevant projects. So can you go to the very quickly to the one? So that's basically how we want to do that. We are now discussing with all the FDOs, but also with the creation of this specific hub, probably in an associated format. We are currently discussing the legal status of it, and which will begin to publish the first testing implementation. They are not yet approved; it's work in progress. But we have a 3 to 4 years maximum window to finish this work. Next time. This one, you mentioned it clearly. Primary use, secondary use. But what we want to do is basically say, well, that's fine. We need to standardize, to normalize both primary use and secondary use. But what we need to do is basically connect the two. Because from the healthcare provider point of view, duplicating over and over data for multiple purposes is not only burdensome, but is really a ring for the quality of the data. So it does do the job. I just give you an example. In Belgium, we spend every year 45 million euro to pay people for coding data in hospitals. And I'll tell you more, the clinicians refuse completely that those data are used for continuity of care, just because it's used for reimbursement. And so they don't trust the data. So those data are, okay, you can still use them a bit for public health, of course, and so on, but you cannot certify that they're really the fair data in the sense that we have defined them. So here, what we want to do is to create the conditions for a dynamic ecosystem where primary use, secondary use are more connected, and where the patient, thanks to the button, can have the right to the data in computable format. Next slide. And that means that for the first time, the patient can become an active actor. I'm a researcher. I define a protocol. This protocol will be capable to directly interact with me in a secure environment, of course, And if I qualify for those inclusion criteria, I can be included. It's revolutionizes completely the way we recruit people. It gives incredible new possibilities in terms of population health. So this ecosystem is going to be extremely dynamic. It's not going to happen overnight, we know it, but at least what we knew, what we want to do here, and that has been mentioned, is already tested a number of things, which I've already mentioned before in the previous session, for example, the real-time monitoring dashboards for public and population health that will be tested already in the project in a number of real-life situations. So in Europe. So, and I just want to also mention this one because it's also related to what we want to do, is that we in COMFORTage are really trying to address prevention, taken widely. So primary, secondary prevention, probably also some kind of tertiary prevention, we see, but even the new concept which is now coming more and more, which needs the input from the patient, quaternary prevention, where we address how underuse or overuse, and for that we need new kind of data. So that's what I wanted to share with you as a concept. Thank you very much. If you want to know more, you can have a look at the website here. Thank you.
Thank you. So Luke is a fantastic example of how, based on the information available now, you can already start building and designing, and it's easier to adopt something, especially if it's not that far off. People know roughly what's going to happen. So there's a lot of solutions that are being developed, and we're definitely looking forward to learn more about it in the coming open days and meetings. You touched on several really important points, and one strikes at the heart of the problems I deal with on several projects, and that is most policymakers don't understand the difference between healthcare data collected for insurance purposes and healthcare collected for clinical first line of defense or primary care, as we call it, or primary use, and secondary use, right? Fortunately, my country has relatively recently instigated a national insurance system. So all the doctors now, all of a sudden, before they had their own systems, they had a piece of paper and so forth. Now to get paid, they have to put all that information in the system. But that information isn't complete. That information is only to prove the patient should have been prescribed, let's say, antibiotics, or to prove that that patient had to have an MRI done. It doesn't actually contain all the information I need as a researcher. And the MRI is like a prime example. It will include some form of proof that the MRI took place, which is usually the report of the MRI, but it doesn't include the MRI itself. But if you're a researcher, that's what you really want. So one of the key challenges I face whenever we present these projects in my country is, but we have ESC, that's the name of the national insurance system. Why do we need all this? And then to anyone who understands the difference, it's like asking them, it's like telling them, we have a motorcycle. Why do we need a truck to move, for labor, for moving huge volumes of earth? People, we need this training, we need to bring the citizens with us, we need to bring the clinicians with us. And I definitely see a challenge on the educational side, which is something else I know you guys work a lot on and do an excellent job. But I really feel that, at least from my experiences in my country, there's a huge need to move beyond national insurance healthcare systems and into national electronic health record systems.
Maybe one last word on these other drivers, because I think it's really important that we could have wonderful specifications, everything's ready, which is not yet the case, but still, it doesn't mean that the people will produce the data. So we need the drivers to do that. And actually, what we're trying to document and to see is we need a combination of drivers in order to make things happen.
So I suggest you stay here, and maybe we can have some questions. Yes, please.
have a comment, not a question. So the situation you described is also specific for us. I think, and it's actually specific to entire Europe, because we actually collected the model for reporting from United States. What we miss is educating the population to really want to give the data, because it's very easy for them to be asked when they go to a doctor, do you want to share the data for research? And they will ask, what is this research? Why is it useful? Second, it's also where the data will be stored. And we need safe spaces, like this huge amount of data to be stored, and also the interoperability of this data stored in different projects. Because let's be honest, each of us, we've been in several projects during our lifetime, and some data actually got lost because they were on research projects. So this connection between medical services and research, it's still not in the right place, but things are going better. And that's why my suggestion is, because it's not a problem of Romania or Greece, or this is the subject of a project, to design the set of data that actually we need from them, and to have like a common, and then maybe to push a regulation, because this is how you should do it.
So one of the things we've done in this other project, for example, is that we have put the patient summary data, so all the to the tests, and we've been working with all the organizations we are with Workcroft in particular, so involved in clinical research, and they have designed what they call the IPS plus R, which is they matched all the key data that they needed to support their key use cases, which were patient discovery, just to name one, for example, there are others. And basically now this is what we are trying to push for the implementing act, actually, for the EHDS 2 also, so it's to have clear. The second part of your remark, to storage of the data, this is important. And my personal opinion, and what we test now with the proof of concept that we have, is not to have a single approach to that. Is that basically we have new products coming onto the market today, which we can refer as PHRs, personal health records, which can be apps, basically, which are more and more interesting, and which can actually collect the data, store the data locally on your phone. It has limitations, of course, but that provides already a solution for quite a number of use cases. And you can definitely, when the digital infrastructure is sufficiently mature, rely on the national infrastructure where the data are already connected, and the two processes can be combined, I think, basically, provided that you have the secure processing environment to deal with the use cases. But it's already happening in a number of products where this connection between the researcher and the patient is there.
So Luke gave a very nice sort of stepping stone. Patient summary is a really good example because it's research that has been going on and they reached really good conclusions, and there's something to show to clinicians, and they start understanding why I need something more than the national healthcare system. You touched on where the data is stored. We need, if you're going to have a European regulation, you need to address the needs of all countries. You cannot leave countries behind. So, 1, 2, we have lawyers. I mean, every country has a lot of lawyers. My country, I think, has the highest percentages of lawyers per capita in the world. So we both need to make sure everything we do follows the regulation, and there's a clear responsibility. It's something they keep saying. So I think the basic concept of EHDS is going to end up big, and you can read the legislation yourself. It's the person producing the data that's responsible for storing it and keeping it. This has huge advantages because in the future we envision multiple solutions from technology providers to go to the hospitals and provide these solutions. And it's up to you, and I'm assuming you're a clinician or a clinical researcher, it's up to you to decide which solution is the best fit for you, and to how much of a backup you need and how you're going to enforce it. The idea of EHDS is primarily to enable you So look, I can give a fantastic example. He has an app, and he collects some form of data, let's say for a research project or for a personal lifestyle well-being sort of application. Let's say that he needs some information from the electronic health record. He's not going to copy it on the app. The data he collects on the app is the responsibility of the app. But when he needs information from your patient, from you, he's going to basically open this door, secure, safe door, collect what he needs, run his model. He's not going to make a copy, because if the patient then decides, I don't want to use this app anymore, he has the right to stop that link. And basically it's the processing that's the interoperability at the end of the day.
Okay, this is for the future, and for the past records, is there any solution in the market which actually can collect, because the data is not collected uniformly? Is there any solution that can actually pick from the information based on certain criteria and to reconstruct a digital record? Because we talk about a lot of information within it.
So there are solutions which up to a certain level of interoperability already collect this data. There are not so many, but there are a number of them. So there are also in this project, for example, and now they want to anticipate the EHDS file specifications. So that will be level 4, as we call it. So that means with all the code, the data, not only structured, but also coded in the system. So, but there are a few solutions already there. Evolving, but my expectation, and we had some figures during the meeting on the evolution of the market, is that that segment of industry is going to progress very quickly, because people have not anticipated it yet, but it's going to progress very quickly.
It may sound simple, but let's take GDPR, right? It's not simple exactly. GDPR may sound simple in comparison to EHDS, but the legislation came and every website had to implement this cookie thing, right? And on the first day, there were maybe 2 or 3 technology providers and they made a killing. But right now, I was looking at my website and how to put it on my company's website. There were so many options, it was crazy. So there's going to be a period, right, where things are a little bit more challenging, they're not as mature, there's tricks and so forth. But the PhD students today, I can personally guarantee you, within their lifetime, they're going to have these opportunities EHDS brings in research, one way or another. And it's our responsibility to inform them, explain it, and make sure they are ready for it. And our second responsibility is, going back to what we've been discussing, is the citizen. The citizen needs to understand the value, because the citizen is paying for it. Where is all this money going to come from? It's going to come from the European Commission. It's going to come from governments. This isn't someone else's money. This is all our money, right?
Yeah, but last week I've been in a conference dedicated to cybersecurity in health, and what we realized discussing around table that the key is in communication. The way we communicate the necessity of GDPR, cybersecurity, data for research, it's very important, because if, for example, you go to a doctor and you say, a virtual virus will kill your system, he fighting every day with the dead, we say, okay, let them kill. I have a patient to take care of it.
Have more data.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I.
Exactly. So it's very important to address the right communication to the end user, because otherwise, this is actually what is going on. That's why the people don't want to give the data, because somebody said they will invent something to give you. We didn't come with nothing else instead. So we don't communicate correctly. This part of science.
This is why the most successful data sharing infrastructure implementation in Europe has been built up with a bottom-up approach to create a circle of trust. The solutions came with the healthcare provider and were owned by the providers, and you build up. And that's where we see the most successful. Before getting, we have 2 people who want to speak. Just one more element, which is really important in other projects again, is one of the ways to progress is to have data which are structured and coded directly provided by the people who are at the origin of the data. Medicinal products in particular are a key component of many of those domains. And we have in Europe as many databases as we have member states, and in each member state, often many different databases which are not even mapped together, with not the same identifier and so on. So there is one key initiative which wants to say, no, we have in Europe a European Medicine Agency, and we have the opportunity to have quality data starting from the industry and flowing down all the way to the end users. We started this process. And there is now a possibility. I have already in 3 countries in Europe, 3 countries have fully implemented the IDMP standard, for example, which will provide fully standardized medicinal product, and which can be used, of course, nationally, but also for any use case at European level. So that's a tremendous advantage. We don't have to come with specifications. The data come directly. They need to flow, but it's there already. Estonia is one of the best examples. They went very far, and they are ready. They are already ready. Not all of them.
Small country, yeah.
It's more like the size of a little city.
But Finland is doing the same now.
But the solution is a solution. The thing with computers, they scale very, very fast. So my country is smaller, we're nowhere near Estonia. So, I mean, the size isn't the only thing that matters when it comes to health data.
This is what I want to say. It's like, I come from a country that we see the problem after implementing the thing. So we
Every
implement.
country is like that.
So, yeah, but we don't, the problem is that what concerns me, I know that big data are very important for research. I do love big data. Nevertheless, we should not forget the person. I don't feel confident, at least in Greece. I do not know, GDPR, for example, was a thing that, you give a paper. It's so practical now. You give a paper just to cover yourself, like take this, I have the ethical, I have everything, all the documents are ready, sign here. My problem is that after a point, I lose track of this data. I do not know where exactly the data of my patient that he is protected by GDPR, by ethical, will go. One example, big, is private health insurance, for example. So it is very important to have databases. It is very important for public health. We pay for that. Nevertheless, I think that 2 things must be done. One is to have a European legislation that is going to be to consider the person, be person-centered, because we're talking about health. We're talking about very sensitive private data. It's not just a name and a telephone number. And secondly, we should have, how can I say that? We should be sure as healthcare professionals that the data that we are taking from our patients, we should know where this data ends, where this data go.
Right. So this is a key aspect of EHDS. We want the patient to be in the driver's seat. So the patient will have access to see who is accessing their data and what data. There is the opt-out that I keep not kind of mentioning, but nobody's asking questions about. So for secondary use, anonymized and strict adherence with GDPR, AI Act, it will no longer be you have to first get the consent and then get the data. The person will have the right to say, I don't want my data used. But if they say nothing, we assume it's okay to be used for research, sort of provided it's completely anonymized and not all forms of data, not genetics, not data that can be used to be de-anonymized. So that's an idea that's coming in and it's already part of the regulation. But the second thing is that, let's hypothesize, I'll take my case again because it's quite personal. I have a very chronic disease, genetic. I go to a doctor my whole life. When they take their first time you go to a doctor, you mention a rare disease, and whatever else you say next is from the rare disease. How do you know it's not from? So I never really feel like I'm getting the right treatment. As a patient, I will have the right, if I'm going to the dermatologist that has nothing to do with my condition, to not allow them to even see the diagnosis of another doctor. If I don't want to share it with him, you will be able to do that. So it does put the patient on the driver's seat, and that's the idea. Now, I am concerned like you about the maturity level of the implementations, especially in the first few years. But security, transparency, rights of patients will always be first, and then we expand the maturity level. That's why, for example, secondary use will not come research use of this data will not come for a minimum of 2 years after it's already being deployed for primary care, because primary care is a primary objective, right? We want to do secondary, but let's make sure we got the ball rolling and focus on the important things before we focus on equally important, I would say, because I'm a researcher, so that's where I put my priority. But let's make sure the first step is safe, secure, and so forth before we move on to the next step. So this idea of maturity levels and step-by-step implementation is going to be there. That's why from the beginning we keep saying in the future. We always use the future tense. And look, he's presenting fantastic ideas, but listen to him carefully. He's also telling you 3 to 4 years development period, right? Because that's what we foresee optimistically. But it's coming. So like I said, the new PhD students, this is what they're going to be teaching their students, and this is what they're going to be practicing. I think it's going to happen, and I'm going to use it as well, because I'm an optimistic guy. Plus, I like working, so I'm probably not going to retire, I'll probably die and still be in the office. But I think you all have to be sort of open-minded about it, and we really have to do a better job. Everybody who does research on EHDS, electronic health records, of explaining it to people. And because you mentioned Greece, I'm from Cyprus, not from Greece. We have some of the best partners, and they are extremely active. So I have complete faith in Greece.
I do have in Greece.
Some of the best partners
I
are from Greece.
don't have in Greek political levels of corruption, say.
So we have some more questions?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hello, it wasn't a question, it was more statement. And going back to the question that was raised here about how should we treat or approach existing data from health records. I'm a lawyer and I'm a GDPR expert. Yeah, so I haven't heard here the quality of the data. The quality of the data is, I think, the most important thing, because I think it's the blood of every database. So if you, how I would start approaching existing data, well, these data, they have to come directly from the patient. They cannot be, we cannot use or engage with the database we are paying for. So this would be the first red flag that I would signal if I was part of a team of people trying to assess whether we should use a database. And secondly, I think we should consider the fact that we should take care and look at the data starting from 2018 until present date. I think whenever you start having a database, you have the responsibility in keeping those data accurate, right? So in order to keep the data accurate, you need to engage permanently with the patient to make sure that the data that they provided a few years ago is still there. So this is another key aspect from a GDPR point of view. Then you have NIS2 directive, which was applicable as of October 2024. You have GDPR, which is already the base of the legal criteria. And if you use machine learning or artificial intelligence, starting 2026, you have Artificial Intelligence Act. So all these go together. These were my remarks. Thank you.
The quality of the data is, of course, a very important issue. And I just ended the few slides I've been showing with the keyword drivers. So we need multiple drivers to end up with fair and quality data. And one of these drivers, there are truly different ones, is interaction. The first interaction is between healthcare professionals themselves. So the more healthcare professionals need to collaborate, the more you can expect the data quality increase. So we have now more and more, especially for chronic diseases, care pathways which include a number of actors which are responsible and which you can trace back, basically. They need to take action at a certain point of time and provide input, which engages their responsibility. So responsibility goes with quality. That's as simple as that. Second interaction, healthcare professional patient. We had this morning a short but nice presentation from a product. And basically, I see in many, that I can again speak from my own experience, just like others. Recently, I've reviewed my patient summary. My own patient summary, which was, actually my GP had made the first version, a quick one, and she sent me just a notification and said, can you check? That's correct. And I've been looking into what she said, and I brought a new precision. She changed, and it's already coded. She changed a few things just because of the context and the nuances. And of course, I'm not a Lambda person. I'm pretty much informed. I don't have any digital literacy program, and so on and so on. So there are much more to be done in order to be there. But that's another driver. There should be many other things to be done in order to have data quality. And finally, the third very important driver, and the example you provided is the same. So the patient engagement, and it's really, really important. If I have a problem, I really want to be able to interact with my data. And the example you gave for EHDS is also true for cancer. I've been in contact with many patients desperate to find a clinical research in which they could be included. And they went and traced back their specialists and say, I want my data, and I want my data to be completely updated. And I want that they can be used. And that has been done. That has been done. And so with these new possibilities, that gives, but I agree with you, it will take time for those drivers to all come together. But what Atos said is really important, is that you need to start from somewhere and from the system where the patient engagement will be the key element. As long as you rely on others and the healthcare professional take decision for yourself, it will never be perfect. Never, for a number of reasons. Just a last thing, and I give you back. It's about what you said about actually circle of trust. That's the other key word. And the governance which needs to be established. We heard private health insurance is an issue in insurance systems. That's not an issue in Finland, where everybody can just check on the web how much tax you pay. I don't think it's going to be popularly agreed. It's not in Belgium, it's not in Germany. And basically, you don't need to build a system which is the same for everybody. You need to have the same system which the least constraints, but which applies to the culture, to the system in place, and so on. And you need the system which will be implemented for the EHDS needs to take that into account. Otherwise, we will have countries progressing and others which will completely remain in the back.
I just wanted to add that I never give a lawyer a legal response because I know I'm going to be in trouble. But what I'm going to say is that the groups working on this stuff have a lot of lawyers in them. And they are the same people who were involved in some cases with the development of GDPR, right? So they are taking everything into account. And if you notice the small aspects of the system we share today with Luke, for example, the aspect that you collect, the institution collecting the data is responsible. That is exactly there to respect essentially GDPR. So he's collecting the data, he's the primary person, the institution responsible. He's supposed to have the data controller, yada, you know GDPR better than me, so I'm not gonna fall into that trap of saying anything wrong. And do it. So This is not to replace GDPR. This is not to replace anything. This is to remove ambiguity when it comes to informed consent for anonymous data and what anonymous means. And this is there to provide functionality to move us into the next century, basically. So while adhering to every other regulatory action, especially from the Commission, and respecting the national laws as well, because this comes from the European Commission, so the countries still can make changes to it when they are adopting it at the national level. Thank you for your question. That's a very critical one. Thank you for all of your questions. We have to close, unfortunately. It was a fun discussion. I hope some of you will join us in future days. We're going to try to bring more interesting, where's George? More interesting discussions, not just, come on. And I wanted to say something else. We keep saying about the PhD students of the future. Our coordinator is 34 years old, okay? Look at the average age around you. This is the next generation already here, and he's going to be using it. So it's important that projects like COMFORTage put them in the driver's seat. So it's up to them to succeed or fail. I'm betting on them, because at least this one is fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you, Athos, and thank you very much, everyone. Now let's move to the final session of our open day, where we will have some pitches and some demonstrations with regards to solutions and real-life applications that have been developed. So we will start with Cyprian. Yeah, okay. Okay, until preparing the presentation, some words also for your company.
Thank you, George. My name is Cyprian. I'm representing the part of software engineering. That is a company based in Sibiu City, located in Romania, of course. We are also partners, part of the COMFORTage project. And our main mission as Pardo is crafting complex software systems for different industries. Today I will present a solution that we are developing, in the EHDS. Okay. So this is the Pardo. Again, my name is Cyprian, and today I will speak about the integrated systems in the EHDS. With the use case of Nestore, it was a large-scale project funded by the European Union. I will speak about the platform, the integration, but before this, I would like to share with you the expectations of probably our day-to-day life. So in each day we are trying to, as a person, as an individual, we have needs. We want to learn some, or we have to acquire new knowledge, to use different knowledge or tools or whatever, to provide or to get help, and probably to share. So this is our space, personal space. But in the digital space, then we have a lot of tools, a lot of applications, a lot of hardware, system integrated. And all this, I will try to start this video. Yeah. All these are coming with some expectations. We use a video here regarding how ideal day in our life, let's say, could be or could take place. This kind of expectation can be sometimes, I don't know how to make it, the sound is too high, but yeah, it's okay. So, but this kind of expectation can sometimes be utopic. So when we are creating new software, when you are living and using technologies and integrating all these technologies, somehow we need to take care that we are not frustrating our future users. Because otherwise, this kind of push notifications, this kind of advices, personalized advices, etc., can push the users away. So this is a very idiotic, I think it's a bit utopic video, but using all these technologies in one day. In the story, we try to cover many KPIs, and Ropardo create this unique and integrated platform as software and hardware. I will give you some insights immediately. Yeah, of course, as I mentioned, can be very. Sometimes I was thinking that this kind of video, after I watched the video, at the end, each time I had this question: could be this dystopian world, because everything could be controlled like this. Yeah, it's a joke, but it's not so joking. Let's say. So we still have a couple of seconds from the video, but this is the essence. Using an integrated hardware and software cloud-based platform, nowadays we can push this kind of recommendations based on creating a user profile quite deeply, and you can push then different situations to this. Yeah, this is the social interaction. So we can understand, or the system can understand, okay, probably you need to see somebody, your daughter, because the system learned that you have a daughter. So it's quite scary. For me at least. And I will show you some devices, quite interesting devices that can track if you really need the daughter. It's amazing. Time to play, etc. But of course, this cannot be done in my opinion, it's not possible to have it in real life. For that, we are calling research. So we learn a lot of things, dinner time and so on. So I think it's 30 seconds, 20 seconds more. And then we go into the tech side. This part is very funny. We integrate a solution that you can, of course, now it's quite common. You can make a picture and calculate the calories, etc. It's fantastic what you can do with the technology, but really, it's a little bit like a dystopian world. Okay. You can find this video online too. And on the media, we appear on the Aero News and on different media posts and etc. So what we did as a software integrator and a platform integrator, we had a challenge to understand and to create a way to orchestrate all this data in a space, to secure the data, and then to run all these algorithms. The algorithms and the decision support system will not be by Ropardo, but we need to orchestrate everything and to make sure that the final result is correct. So we integrate hardware, software, and here are some examples from wearables, tangible interface like this one, or you can have a Google or Alexa or others. Sleep monitors in the phone. This one is a medical sleep monitor because this was the idea. So we were checking if you can image this sleep monitor, it's a medical grade, and send data each second. So it was very challenging to have hundreds of patients monitoring each second to receive data from hundreds of patients in sort of real time, and to process and to do analysis. Some classical tool like let's say pen and paper the flexibility tool, yeah, you just have to use the tool and to understand it's a medical device too, but it's classical, okay, how you acquire that after. And smart scale and beacons. So these beacons are very, very interesting. Are developed by Flextronic. Maybe you know it's a very well-known hardware developer. It's based in Italy, but they introduce Fitbit, for example. I mean, they introduce core Fitbit. It's not their brand, but they are producer. So this beacon, if you have with you, and you meet the other person that has a beacon too, they will know later, and the system will know later how long you stay together and what the intensity even can approximate the distance between the people. So in this way, the system learn if you really meet your daughter or not. If you follow that recommendation, it's crazy. As a software part, we have from web portals, social platforms for recommendation in this part of social activity, chatbot, so all kinds of crazy things. The platform look like this in very high level schema, and the focus, as I mentioned before, it is on the user experience. So the user need to feel or to use these kind of tools in a way that don't have a pressure or don't have the impression that it's somehow pressed. But of course it is. This is the final outcome. So I will skip this and I will go to some quick facts about this kind of technologies, because we are speaking about the integrated platform, okay, what we learned, what are the facts. And for example, when you are developing and deploying in a real life scenario for from these technologies and the platform that we developed, we were not able to implement in private sector the full scale. Always we are implementing only some parts because it's too much. The entire platform is too much to be consumed by a private entity like a private clinic or similar, and they expose too much on the side of let's say discussion with the patients. So there are too many verticals. But what we learned, one thing is that during this project, and usually it's not very bad to be close to the open source community, because all these technologies, many of the technologies are open source, and from what we are doing in Reparto, we are publishing or we are giving back open source. So in this case, we have different ontologies that we publish as open source, different libraries of software that we publish open source. The architecture itself, it was published as open source, and also we publish a lot of scientific materials and also a book. Then, for example, for the chatbot, it was adapted at that time in 4 languages, and we implementing more than 3,000 sentences and 50 voice intents. That is quite a lot. Of course, in such situation, you have 100 of micro APIs, of course, on top of other full APIs that you need to integrate. Somehow I already touched the points from this slide that open source is a recommendation, of course. Many times also with the customers, when we go to private sector, many customers saying, okay, I need a mobile app for, I don't know, get in touch with my patients or my clients, and also web application. But it's, from my opinion and from our experience, it's pointless to have, to duplicate all these features, to consume resources and budget. You have to focus on one, Probably mobile ready is the single point of truth now. You don't need any more too much web content in terms of app. And yeah, of course, we have many aspects that we like to share regarding what can be done different in this particular project, but also in some other experience from industrial implementation, private clients. But I think the two takeaways are the idea to involve the experts as early as possible, and us with a high intensity if it's possible. Not only at the end, and only on some points, and say, okay, I would go to experts when the engineer or design experience engineer or whatever they need some feedback. It's too late. So it's very important in this health related applications, let's say, or in this domain, to discuss with the experts very early and with high intensity, and always try to reduce complexity. If something comes to your desk, first point is, okay, how we can reduce the complexity of whatever we do. We design a user experience pack. We discuss with the expert, and the expert, of course, want to explain you a lot of details and etc. Always our recommendation, and when we are doing workshops with our customers, we are pushing hard to reduce complexity. Even in PowerPoint, reduce complexity everywhere. Of course, you can go in the other side that you can miss important opinions or points, but reducing complexity is not about skipping aspects that you need to do. It's just a process to focus, yeah, to stay focused on the real KPIs. This is these kind of projects are developed by our department. We have an Republic Innovation Center, and it seems that it was a nomination. So thank you very much for attention, and hopefully that we can replicate very much from this integrated platform also in COMFORTage, but at a higher complexity level in COMFORTage.
Any questions to Cyprian? Yes.
Thank you. Sure. Fantastic presentation, lots of technology. My question, I don't want to come across as flippant, but there's a serious point behind it. So my question is, when did you last take a run? And the subsequent question is, what do you think is missing in these sorts of systems then?
If I understood correctly, when I take when I run as a person,
yes,
doing physical activity.
Your video shows you should be having
a
run every morning.
Yeah, exactly.
When did you last take a run?
I think the last run it was when I had 18 years. I'm not enjoying running from kid. When I was kid, I was not doing this kind of activity. But the last physical activity I can reply to you, basically when I'm at home, each day I walk as fast as possible, 1 hour, 45 minutes. 1 hour is my target, but usually it's not 45 minutes. Yeah, daily. But it's not running, it's just walking.
So the serious point of the question is, what do you think is missing? Is it adaptability to different forms of exercise, different forms of coaching? What is missing?
In my opinion, based also on this kind of experience that I present and apply to me, What is missing is much more mental training. Because when I get in touch, so in Leopardo, we are developing this kind of health-related programs and European program, national and also private, I mean, for customers, since 20 years. And each time, of course, at the beginning, I was much fit and I didn't care about this information, really. It was just a business, let's say, and or a scientific approach, so very nice. Lately, once that I changed my behavior and life and etc., what I understood is that the most important aspect, and I don't think, for example, Nestore as a product, let's say, everything, all the features are covering is the mental training. You have to be fit at your mental in order to have a healthy life. And many times I don't know you or audience or others, but always I have an explanation for myself. You know, if I have some specialists here, but probably if I'm wrong, somebody to correct me, our brain somehow give explanation to everything. It's like a large language model. You put a question, I will reply with something, even if I hallucinate or not. Somehow, I think our brain do the same. I have an excuse. I didn't work yesterday because I was with you. Of course, it was possible because I had a break between almost 2 hours. But when I left from hotel, I decided, okay, it's a bit cold, let's take a taxi and not walk to the destination. It was 30 minutes only on the map. So always give an explanation. So this kind of mental exercise, somehow, I don't know how the technology can support this, but somehow, if it will be supported in a very gentle way, let's say, for the users, I think we'll have to have all, or at least me, a healthier life and a longer life. What regarding the nutrition on the other side, I educate a lot based on this kind of experiences, and I have to admit that 90% of the time I can have better diet and I can feel it, but not because of the pictures, just because of the understanding. Thank you. Sorry for long.
I have a comment related to this. I think in a certain point, the way we treat ourselves will affect also the invoice we get for the medical services. We need a stick and we need a carrot. The carrot is we need to be more healthier. The stick will be the price we're gonna pay if we don't do it. So regardless the mental coaching and so on, yes, we need it. But studies show that usually we need also the stick. So if you go to the doctor and he can see that you didn't take into consideration the recommendation, the invoice for the medical services will be high. And when you're going to pay more than the electricity, you will do the 30 minutes walk. This is how it works. This is the
I
mental.
completely agree, but it's a very hard mental training what you are telling me. I said that I would like a gentle approach.
The number of doctors is in so much decline worldwide, not only in this country. You can expect this happen much faster than you believe. And then we all gonna have all the mental training we need.
But I agree with you. It is another way to see the situation, and I hope that we will find more gentle ways to educate ourselves. So thank you very much for time and for questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Cyprian. Really interesting, and definitely some aspects will be also utilized in the context of our project. Okay, so now we will have a video from Professor Radu Daniel Vatavu in order to showcase and demonstrate personalized wearable interactions with WellSkill, work that has been done in the context of his lab in Suceava University. So we have almost 5 minutes video in order to demonstrate this application.
We use a solution for personalized interactions with wearables, such as smartwatches, glasses, and rings. The worldwide market size for wearables has largely increased in recent years due to the many applications and services that smart wearables enable, such as health and fitness tracking and integration of connected devices. However, interactions with wearables not designed within an accessibility-first culture lead to many accessibility challenges. In this picture, a smart ring user with spinal cord injury controls the position of the ring of the arm and wrist, not with his fingers. In this context, WearSkill is our approach to addressing accessibility challenges for interactions with wearables and users with motor impairments. WearSkill puts the spotlight on two aspects: the personalization of input modalities for wearables and the availability of such personalization mechanisms as a service supported with common web technology. WearSkill has been a 2-year effort that involved understanding the limitations of the state-of-the-art, conducting studies with people with motor impairments to understand their input performance with wearables, and developing the WearSkill application as web-based software, which we intend to release with an open source license. In the first stage, we conducted a systematic literature review of wearable interactions for users with motor impairments and found limited research on this topic, a disproportionate interest for hand gestures compared to other input modalities, and little involvement of participants with motor impairments in studies about wearable interactions. Based on our findings, we proposed a WISE framework consisting of diverse designs of wearable devices, new input modalities and techniques, conducting more user studies, and extending wearable interactions with and to other devices. In the second stage, we examined touchscreen stroke gestures and the mid-air motion gestures articulated with devices worn on the wrist, finger, and hand. We found that users with upper body motor impairments took twice as much time to produce stroke gestures on wearable touchscreens compared to users without impairments, but they articulated motion gestures equally fast and with similar acceleration characteristics. In the third stage, we designed and developed WearSkill by leveraging the square model of systems and software quality requirements and evaluation, and technology for the web such as JavaScript, Node.js, and WebSockets. WearSkill implements personalization of input modalities for smart wearables. To this end, a user profile needs to be created where motor symptoms are specified, such as slow movements, tremor, or poor coordination. Based on this profile, WearSkill employs machine learning algorithms to generate recommendations for input modalities that match the motor abilities of the user. Devices connected to the Wi-Fi network are discovered and assigned roles, such as a GearFit smartwatch is specified as an input device, while the Smart TV and the Philips Hue smart lighting systems are output devices. During setup, users can also define their own gesture commands by articulating them on a connected device, and then adding a short description to refer to those gestures, such as letter O, left or right, as in this example. Then, commands performed with input devices are associated with system functions of output devices, such as when drawing letter O on the smartwatch, the TV turns on. In this example, a video player running on a smart TV listens for input commands coming from WearSkill. The WearSkill application is shown on the right side of the TV for reference purposes. The user controls the audio volume of the TV and which video is displayed by employing stroke gestures on the smartwatch. In another example, gesture input is used to control a smart lighting system. The WearSkill application is shown on the screen in the middle for demonstration purposes only. By performing gestures on the smartwatch, the user controls the intensity and hue of the lighting system. We plan to release WearSkill as an open source software to foster further developments in the interested community towards more accessible wearable interactions for users with diverse motor abilities. Thank you for your attention.
Okay, that was not planned. Okay, and we conclude great, very interesting work, and definitely these aspects with regards to motor morbidities and frailty are really interesting and lie also under the overall aspects of the project, of the COMFORTage project. The YouTube video, because that was a video in YouTube, the URL will be shared in the context of a white paper. We foresee to create a white paper with regards to the key uptakes and the key recommendations and propositions based on the presentations that we had throughout this second open day of the COMFORTage project, in order to drive the conclusions and the discussions and the comments that have been raised throughout this open day of our COMFORTage project. And I would like to close with this. I will leave this poster open here. That has been shared by Professor Dr. Irina Matran from Târgu Mureș University with regards to nutrition for steatotic liver disease, relevance for disability at old age. And with this, I would like to close this second day of the COMFORTage project. I would like to warmly thank especially Ana Aslan Organization for making this second open day of the COMFORTage project real. Professor Luisa Spiru and the rest of the team of Ana Aslan Organization for this amazing organization of the GA meeting, but also of this second open day. And I would like to warmly thank each one of you for participating, for your patience, and for your engagement and highly involvement in the overall discussions that we have followed during this morning in the context of this open day. Because, again, one of the main objectives of the project is to raise awareness with regards to the different aspects, the technological, the clinical, and the societal perspective, in order to better tackle the challenges with regards to the aging population and especially dementia and frailty. And once again, thank you very much, and please feel free to follow the project, the LinkedIn accounts, and all the different social media of the project in order to keep track on the updates and the news of our project. We are really keen to collaborate with you. We are here to hear your opinion, hear your needs, and better foster the overall outcomes and solutions of our project. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And I'm so grateful for our team as well. Part of it is for lunch, Diana, all the girls. But it's Florina here, the event administrator, so Mrs. Florina Coman, and I'm so grateful for her. Here is Dr. Cosmina Paul. I don't know who else. The rest is upstairs. But anyway, thank you, all of them. Do you want to have a photo with all the group before lunch? This is my question, because it's our professional photographer, Mrs. Mihaela Garic, who is part of all our events. And believe me, the photos are going to be amazing. And we will share with you. Okay, so you have to organize us. Here? Okay. All of us.